young man who was trying to figure out the solutions to the problems of life, went to a wise man and said, "Wise one, you seem to know many things and you seem to be very happy. What is the secret to your happiness?" And the wise man said, "Well, it's very simple. Never get into an argument with a fool." And the man said, "That can't be right. It can't be that simple." And the wise man said, "Of course, you are correct." I think that's terrible for this day and age. Everybody wants to fight. Everybody wants to argue all the time about everything. Everybody wants to establish themselves in their correctness of whatever form it may take. And it's nothing new. You see it in the gospel. I mean, you see the craziness of humanity, fallen humanity, in the gospels. You have Jesus healing people of deafness, of dumbness, casting out demons, restoring people to health. Just amazing things. And what do the people say about it? Well, some people are happy about it, and they say, "Wow, we've never seen anything like this. This is fantastic." And then other people say, "What? He casts out demons by the demons. He's a sorcerer. He's rotten." What nuttiness. Why do people like that? Why do they do that? Why do they go straight for the lowest possible thing, right? He's not just a fraud. He's basically a demonic sorcerer. And this is the kind of world we live in. We jump right to the throat and try to take somebody out, impugn them with the worst possible motives, treat them like the lowest possible piece of human garbage. And we consider ourselves virtuous. And we pat ourselves on the back and say, "See, I'm glad I'm not like them. I'm not like him, those people." We're in a cold war in this country. I mean, maybe it's just because I'm getting older, but I don't think I've ever seen it so ugly, it's so cruel, it's so crass as it in my entire life. I don't know if anybody else feels that way who's got some decades behind them or more than me. But it's always been nasty. It's always been rough. It's always been a scrapping, between various forces and factions, and that's fine, right? That's expected. And in the days of the founding fathers, I mean, it got ugly too. It's nothing new. Nothing new. That's how, when people live together, they got to work it out. Man, the level of diatribe and polemic just seems to be worse than it has ever been before. And of course, it's never my fault. It's the other person, and that's the problem. They say this, so now I'm justified in just unleashing all the cannons, right? Saying things that 20 years ago would be unthinkable. You'd be run out of town for saying those things. 50 years ago, you wouldn't be considered worthy of being part of human civilization. It's that filthy. But now, we just let it go. We just let it go. Well, he's talking about that person. I'm talking about you! Every one of you has this within you, don't you? Or are you really so good that you've never felt anger, you've never felt frustration, that you've never been judgmental? If that's the case, forgive me. Forgive me for projecting. But the rest of you know darn well that it's not just the people in this place or that place. It's all of us. It's a culture. As a culture, we're disintegrating in upon ourselves. And this serves the purposes of the evil one. It serves the purposes of enemies of the nation, for sure. They'd love to see this country tear itself apart. But it's nothing new. It's always been the same fundamental problem of human civilization. How do you get along with people you don't like? So St. Paul in the Epistle to the Romans today is trying to sort this out in his day and age, in the first century. Because you have a mixed community of believers. You have people who became Christian because they were Jews and they recognized their Messiah. And you have Gentiles who recognized that Jesus was clearly the real God to them, not like the sorcerers of the Roman gods, the pagan gods. And you have to get all these people to kind of fit together who just a few years ago would have been at each other's throats, willing to kill each other, right? Some of the apostles had been zealots. It means they were willing to take up arms against the Roman oppressor. And some of these were Romans and Gentiles who had exploited and persecuted the Jews. And now, coming together as Christians in one new body and one new community, they had to figure out how to hang out together. Not just to worship God together, but to love each other. Not just to stand in their individual little isolated boxes facing the altar and not having to deal with anyone to the right or left, but actually having to be hand in hand, arm in arm, giving the kiss of peace to one another, willing to die for one another, willing to risk one's life for each other. This is what that faith was like. It wasn't just easy. It wasn't just something they could just do automatically, like it was in them. I mean, yes, the Holy Spirit helped, but they had all that passion and all that brokenness that they brought with them when they came to Christ. Still being healed. Doesn't heal overnight. It takes a lifetime. And it's really only finished in the kingdom to come. And so Jesus says, bear with the weaknesses of others. Bear with the scruples of the weak, he says. Don't try to correct everybody else. Don't try to fix everybody else. Don't look down at everybody else. But seek how you can please them for their edification. At that time, it was just hard enough how to eat together. You know, because the Jews had their own way of the kosher eating and the certain foods they wouldn't eat. And the Gentiles didn't care about that. And then there were the Christians, including some of the Jewish Christians who no longer followed that law, but they didn't want to scandalize their Jewish brethren. And that was just how to, I mean, you know how hard getting coffee hour together is. Imagine first century coffee hour, how hard that really was. When you had people willing to murder each other, trying to sit down together and can't even agree on the menu. St. Paul says, I just want to eat meat again ever, if that's what it takes, rather than scandalize somebody or throw them off the faith. I'll bear with whatever their weaknesses, whatever their issues are, and give them the benefit of the doubt. What a beautiful image. He says, look at Jesus. The reproaches fell on him instead of on you, right? Fulfilling the prophecies. Jesus took the reproaches against us, took it upon himself on the cross. It's not wrath of the Father, by the way, it's the accusations of the devil, the weight of sin. He took that upon himself, becoming sin, as it says, for us, so that he might destroy its power. Jesus could have come and said, free hugs, everybody. Free hugs, let's change the world. Free hugs, I'll give you a free hug. And they said, demon, we don't want that. We want free punches. We want free punches. So get up on the cross and let us do to you and what we want. And he did. And by his stripes we are healed. And by his blows we are reconciled. Is that what it will take? I'm willing to go out on the curb. I'm gonna buy a boxer thing though. And with a sign that says free punches. Because I don't think the free hugs thing is working anymore. You need to get it out. Take it out to hit me. I don't care. Just stop hitting each other. Stop beating on each other in your mind and with your words and with your tweets and texts and things like that. Stop it already. We have to live together as one people, one body in Christ. We have to love one another. So brothers and sisters, let us receive one another as Christ has received us, with wounds on our bodies, with the marks of the pain it took to do that, because we fought and scratched and punched the whole way into his arms. That's why he still bears those marks. Christ is among us.